Hi, it's Monday. and we are back home. I spent a few days in Jamaica, a few days in North Carolina. If you guys saw last week's live stream, it was from my niece's bedroom because we're in North Carolina seeing family. And I'm pleased to let you guys know I did not get burnt. I got a little bit burnt on my shoulder because I missed a spot with sunscreen, but we good. And it was a very relaxing vacation. We did not. Some folks are still saying no audio. That is unfortunate. Just to let you know how crazy my day has been. If you guys can hear me, give me 1 second. I'm going to double check. Okay. Yep. Cool. All right. Sorry. I went mountain biking this morning and blew my tire out. So I had to hike like 2.5 miles. It was crazy. Anyway, we went to Jamaica. It was a relaxing vacation. Didn't do much activity wise, but we did check out what's called the Luminous Lagoon, which is a bioluminescent lagoon. Basically, when you agitate the water, it glows blue. So I jumped in dark water at night, which is like one of my core fears. But it was crazy because you would like squeeze your hands like that, and it would look like there was light exploding out of your hands. It was one of the coolest things I've ever done. Anyway, today, what you guys are here for, we're going to do a live rip and print demo. I'm going to demo NeoStampa. Going to show you how it kind of works with putting in files and stuff like that. It is a little different feel than Digital Factory, which a lot of folks use. And then we're going to demo print over on the Prestige R2 Pro. So you guys are going to get to watch that. One thing I did not check. Yep. I forgot to check. I did a nozzle check right before I got on and realized I hadn't checked to make sure my white was good. And FYI, I did not use this thing for a week. And I printed on it. When I came back, I did load ink, nozzle check, cleaning, a nozzle check, and we're good to go. Those auto cleans definitely help out a ton. So now that we have all the technical issues out of the way, let me know where you guys are watching from. I always love to find out where folks are tuning in from, and we will get going on loading some stuff into NeoStampa. Let's see. And my PC, boy howdy, I swear, everything is just not playing nice with me today. All right, give me 1 second. Apparently my PC decided to log me out of everything. And now it's making me do the authentication stuff. This is great. Boy, this is quality live stream content. While I'm doing this, let's chat about the sponsor of this channel, which is DTF Station, which is that printer. I did just release a video over the weekend on why I chose to partner with DTF Station. And I reached out to them before they reached out. Well, we kind of reached out mutually at a trade show. And we realized that we both wanted to work with each other. So it was a really good partnership. I already like their machines, their equipment. I like their company ethos, which is like have something ready to go out of the box. So I was really happy to partner up with them. They're sponsoring these live streams because they are passionate about education. Love that you're here. I think you've been here every single week since I started this new thing. So thank you. Oh, by the way, how is that new? Did the Epson get installed last week? Yeah, so partnering with them, they're really passionate about education, about having a really good, like they've got a ton of videos on how to set up their equipment, how to use their equipment, their software, all this kind of stuff. So really great company to partner with. Again, they're sponsoring the live streams. They're sponsoring a handful of videos. And I'm also doing some other video work with them on their channel and stuff. So it's a really great partnership. If you're interested in the DTF Station equipment, you can reach out to any of their dealers. You can also ask me any questions you've got, and then I'll partner you up with a dealer. I am not selling printers. That is something that I don't want to get into just yet. If I do in the future, I might. But right now, that's just it's a level of complexity that I'm not wanting in the business right now, as I'm more focused on education content and color profiling out there in the real world. All right, so let's hop over to my PC. Hello, PC. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to NeoStampa. This is NeoStampa. Now, some people get thrown off because it's a horizontal layout, which I totally get why that's a little bit like jarring when you're used to a lot of the other RIP softwares using horizontal layout. I've actually spoken to them quite a bit about this, and they've been doing RIP software for a long time. It's just they've been doing sublimation, and this is the layout that the patterned fabric folks preferred, and it really takes a lot of like re-engineering of the software to go vertical. So as long as you can get kind of past or around the horizontal layout, it's really not that big of a deal. So in NeoStampa, boy howdy, I'm so used to saying the other one. Let's close this out. Oh, cancel. Don't save it. I don't want to save it. I'm going to show you guys from start to finish what this looks like. And I keep hitting yes. Oh my gosh. Do me a favor. Thumbs up in the chat if you've had a morning where just nothing was seeming to work right. Like blowing out mountain bike tires. All right, here we go. So the first thing you're going to do in NeoStampa, I've already got my printer set up, but you do this new job. Now, this is like a new gang sheet. So you're going to click OK. Well, you're going to pick your scheme. And your scheme is the print mode. Basically, your profiled setup print modes. And in this case, we've got some for different resolutions or pass modes, and then different films. So I'm using the Quick Glide, not the Universal. So we're going to go 8 pass or 4 pass. I don't know what the difference is there. I haven't played with this a ton yet with the different settings, but I know this one's a good one. And then we got our layout. Now to add our stuff, we can just click this little button right there, and then we can go in here and pick some of our images we want to print. So let's go downloads, and let's pick a couple here. We're gonna pick a couple different size ones. Open. Now, my daughter's a huge Goonies fan, and she was her boyfriend had a Goonies shirt, and I was like, that's a cool shirt. And Joe's like, I know, I don't have a Goonies shirt, so I'm making my daughter a Goonies shirt. And then some other things in here. That is way too big. That is not supposed to be that large. Let's make that. Oh, so resizing right up here. So I'm just going to double click on this to select the whole thing. And I know that I want this probably only be like 5 inches. Boom, resized right there. Super easy. Same thing on this beach one. Let's resize that down to 5 inches. All right, and let's auto nest this thing. So right here is the nesting. It's kind of hidden behind my noggin. There you go. So we're going to hit this nest button. It's going to ask us if we want a gap between stuff. Yes. Enable the rotation. Yes. All of those things. All right. And let's bring it back over here. There we are. And there we go. Beautiful. Now, one of the things that I absolutely love about NeoStampa is you can use shortcuts. So if you accidentally do something you didn't mean to do, you can use Control-Z to back up. You cannot do that in Digital Factory, which just, I don't know how many times I've accidentally did something or bumped a button and wasn't sure what I did, but I couldn't undo it. So the beauty is let's say I move this thing up here, Control-Z, undoes it. Guess what else it does? I can hit Control-D to duplicate it, and it duplicates it. I could also copy and paste. I can also, sorry guys, my face is moving around. I can click and drag and duplicate 2 different ones at the same time. People, this is like, it's kind of a silly little thing, but it is like one of my favorite features is it works. It actually works to Control Alt like control copy, control paste, control C, control V, control D, all of the things work. It's wonderful. Anyway, I get a little too excited about simple things like shortcuts. Now, I'll tell you guys, I've already printed the cool little bird graphic there and this little beach logo, and the colors look really fantastic. And that's, again, why I love these machines, this equipment, is because it comes out of the box kind of ready to go. But let's take a look here. We're doing a couple halftone designs. So you're going to see some pretty fine details in here, and I intend to lose some of those details. But on these, I'm going to adjust my choke a little bit. So up here in the upper right-hand corner, we've got our punch and our choke. There's our choke right here, and it is 0.039 inches right now. I'm going to actually bring it down to 0.02, which is pretty tight. I'll probably be okay. Ultimately, I would want to double check my alignment real quick before I would actually push this design out if I'm going to press it. The other thing I want to do is check my white underbase. So in this case, the default is set at 90%. I'm actually going to do down to 40%. And right now it's set at flat. NeoStampa does have what they call dynamic white, but that's variable white underbase. And it bases it not just under black, but under all colors that are super saturated. So it bases it off of a percentage of ink that's being used for that color. And that's how it kind of factors its variable white underbase. I'll do some videos that go into more detail about some of these features. But right now I'm going to do 40%. Even though it's going to go on a black shirt, I know that it'll look better. It'll be a cooler vintage design if it's a little bit faded. It'll also make it feel softer too. So that's a good thing as well. And then this one, I do want to change my choke on it. Now, you can change your white underbase. You can change your choke. You can change all sorts of other settings, but you can't change your scheme. So everything that's in this window right now is a part of this one scheme, okay? Or print mode, if that's a term you're more familiar with, but they call them schemes on Digital Factory. Another thing I love about this is your cropping tool. Normally, it opens up a separate window. In other softwares, this you can just click and crop it right there on screen. You can see exactly what's happening. Yeah, there's a lot of things that just this functions or feels a little bit more like a design software that just happens to be ripping. Okay, so let's rip this. We're going to click print. In this window, we can actually add some job information. So let's say that I was printing a bunch of gang sheets for people and I wanted to know when the next gang sheet started. I can put a little text here. There's different options I can put in. I can put in like the name, the scheme, the date, all this kind of stuff. But I can also put custom text in here and have it be at the top of where that gang sheet starts. So if somebody else is cutting out the gang sheets, they know exactly where to cut those gang sheets out at. So I know a lot of folks will actually put an image in the top of their gang sheet to then print out that way. That way they know where the new one starts. But it's cool because it's got some features built into it. All right, Goonies. And let's click print and let's see how long it takes it to rip. So while that's ripping, you can see down just right here by my noggin, it's going to town. So this is going to function similarly to other softwares, whereas like certain printers will print better directly from the RIP. Anything that's like Hosensoft based boards generally behaves better when you export it as a PRN or a PRT in this case. But it just tends to behave a little bit better. I've seen it where it gets a little backlogged if you try to just print directly from the RIP to Hosen-based printers, if that makes sense. All right, that is done ripping. Sweet, that did not take very long at all. Let's jump over to our printer software. Let's go to print. Let me double check. Let's go. Let me double check real quick. My margin. Let me move my margin back just a hair. And if you guys notice, this looks a little different than normal Hosensoft software. And that's because DTF Station has basically been able to get access to the coding of this software, and they've fixed some things. Like here, it says nozzle check, not nozzle check. So that's kind of cool. All right, let's open up that file we just made. Goonies, there we are. Right click. Actually, I'm going to feed it forward just a hair. And I'm going to turn on my shaker. Yes, that is the noise that it makes. That's it. It's pretty quiet. All right, and let's print this bad boy. Go to GoPro Cam. Here we go. All right, while this is printing, if you guys got questions, make sure to drop them into the chat. I'm going to grab TikTok over here and let them see what's happening. So yeah, the first set of dots are probably not going to have hardly any white on them from this particular file I made because they're pretty small. But, let's see, are we even hitting the white yet? We should have hit the white head. Oh, we are. It hadn't quite hit the white head yet because I can see the wetting bar over there. Yep, there we go. So it definitely would probably need to or should use a an even smaller choke than the 0.002 because we're definitely missing some of these small dots up here. But that's pretty much the case. Anytime you're working with halftones, you have to be real careful about what your choke is set at because you need to have it enough of a choke to where it's not sticking out around the edges and you're seeing a bunch of stuff you don't want to see. And then you also don't want it so much, like too high of a choke, that it doesn't print any white on the back. So that's kind of what we're seeing here a little bit is I don't have quite enough on there. And that's on me for not testing those settings first. So let the sucker run for a little bit, and as it makes its way into the dryer shaker, I will show you guys the dryer shaker functioning as well. Again, if you guys got questions, definitely drop them into the chat while we're doing this. You can ask me anything. It doesn't have to just be about DTF printing, but you know, that's obviously why we're here, right? All right. How are we looking? Yeah, looking pretty good. But yeah, like I said, we're definitely seeing not enough white around those edges there. And that's, again, I need to set my choke lower for this particular print because it is a fine, detailed halftone. So halftones are awesome. I love them to death, but you do have to be careful to set your chokes properly. It's real easy to get that that not set properly. Now this next one should look a little bit better. That first one had some really, really fine details on it. So that kind of doesn't surprise me that we maybe had a little bit of trouble with it. This one's probably going to be a little bit better. Yeah, that one's looking good. Look at the blue on that jacket. Whoo-wee. Now, I am excited to start to work with profiling and playing with it, and I've got some things I want to test out. Yes, NeoStampa is a premium price, and it's not for everyone. I have noticed that NeoStampa seems to have a little less graininess issues. That is a fairly common problem or dilemma that folks that are printing with Digital Factory run into. But yeah, it's not a cheap software. And there's not anything built straight out of the box. They're expecting that you're going to profile your machine. So it's definitely only for certain situations, certain cases. So one of the reasons why I am a dealer for both NeoStampa and Digital Factory. I want to be able to offer the right solutions for folks. And sometimes that right solution is NeoStampa. And sometimes that right solution is Digital Factory. And I really, and honestly, like even DTF Station, they used to use DigiRip, which was a OEM branded Digital Factory. And they also felt like they were getting better colors, better quality out of NeoStampa. So that's why they made the shift to NeoStampa. Now, most of their machines ship with both DigiRip and NeoStampa, and they kind of let you choose. They have some demo images you can print to decide which one you like better. But yeah, so that's an option that they kind of made available. All right, so we're watching that print. Let's shift our focus over here to the shaker. There we go. And there's our dryer shaker. Actually, let's open up the lid so you can see a little bit better. There we go. So they're using a kind of the rod with the two wheels on the end to help weigh it down. That rod is activating a sensor which activates the take-up reel. So that's kind of how this is set up and working. I really like it. Also on the guide, on the heated guide plate here, they have a little ruler. You swing this around, see if you can see that. Yeah, that ruler right there. So that helps me make sure I'm lined up as I go through the dryer shaker because that ruler's on the back side as well. So it's not relying on powder to weigh it down. It's relying on that little carriage wheel. So you get a little bit more consistent behavior and a little more consistent droop in the film. And is this the fastest thing in the world? No, but we're doing about, I think this one's running currently like 20 something square feet an hour because I'm not running it at like its fastest speed with the lower resolution or pass mode. And then once we have it coming out the dryer, I will show you guys that. All right, let me, goodness gracious. All right, let me go back over here. See what's happening there. Perfect. All right, we're coming out the end. So let's shift our camera around and show you guys a couple of other things. And I did that and then just realized that we are done printing. So let me start this back up again. Print immediately. Here we go. Okay. So here is coming out the end. I'm trying to adjust my camera without blowing everything up. There we go. So we've got our little tension bar here. There's no fans on this, and I'm a big proponent of less is more. So this machine doesn't use a conveyor belt. It doesn't use fans because it doesn't need cooling fans because honestly, they cool enough by there. And then we've got going to the take-up reel here. So we got it coming out the end. Let me, while this is running, I'll show you guys what the inside looks like in here. Turn this around again. There we go. And let me show you guys. This does not use bulbs. This uses a heated platen on the bottom. So this bottom area here is what's heated. And then the fume extraction is built into the top up there. So you tend to get a lot more even heating when you use this kind of a setup versus bulbs. So I actually really, really like that setup. So, all right, let's see. We got some more questions that came through. How much did I contract the design in Photoshop? So you're talking about the white underbase, I'm assuming, and Digital Factory, or sorry, in this case today, NeoStampa does that contracting of the white underbase. That's not something I do in Photoshop. You can do it in Photoshop, but that's for other RIP softwares that usually use like a TIFF, which uses a spot color for the white underbase. But generally, I run a practice of a couple of pixels, probably two. Two is kind of what I would kind of shoot for with a halftone design. But for normal printing, I would probably do a choke of like 4 pixels. It just depends on what the design is and how much like grace you need to give yourself. So yeah, so I hope that's what you're asking about. The halftone design, I'll actually pop on here in a second once we're done printing and show you guys how I edited that halftone design down. But let's take a look. Whoop, I'm blocking the light. Blocking the light. So exciting watching paint dry. It's literally what we're doing right now, right? We're watching it print and watching paint dry. I'm hoping to have it pop around the top of the wheel so you guys can see. I don't know if you'll be able to see the color super well, but here it comes. It's coming. It's a coming. You know, while that's doing that, let's pop back over here. Here's Photoshop. And here is one of the designs. The 2 designs are this one, and this one. Obviously, you can see that it is pretty, this first one is very, very fine details, pretty small dots, but no semi-transparent pixels, which is huge. But that's kind of what it'll look like on a black shirt. This one, that's what it'll look like on a black shirt. This one will actually probably turn out pretty cool. I didn't realize till I actually worked on this that the movie poster is kind of funky. It's like their faces don't look right. but yeah. So that's how it should turn out. Now I won't be pressing it today. She doesn't have her shirts. And I also don't have a heat press yet. I'm still working on that. Working on securing a heat press. There it is. Look at that yellow coming through. Ooh, that looks good. Let's not make it too bright. There we go. Yeah, that yellow looks great. Hi, Kevin. Thanks for watching. Yeah, so that is looking pretty sweet. Nice, bright yellows. That looks, guys, that looks pretty good. Pretty close to what my original was. Let's see. So there it is. Obviously, my camera might change it slightly. And that's what the original looked like. Yeah, it looks way more orange on my screen in front of me than it does. It looks so much oranger on my screen down here than it does on what you guys are seeing. But that's still coming through pretty good. I'm pretty pleased with that. Let's see. All right. Let's let those last colors come through. If you guys got questions, don't hesitate to ask. But let's let that next Goonies come through, and then we'll jump back onto the main camera and let this thing finish out. It's actually going to finish printing in just a second anyway. Ooh, yeah, look at that Goonies logo coming up. Yeah, we're going to have some fun. We're going to have some fun once I get a freaking heat press. Quick question in the chat. What heat press do you guys like using? I got a couple that I'm looking at. A couple companies I'm talking to. Seeing if we can figure something out, work something out. But, oh, yeah, look at that orange and the blue in the background. That's looking nice. All right. Jumping back over here. All right, y'all. So that is a kind of a brief demo. As you can see, I'm not really paying much attention to it. The system's doing a pretty good job. Yeah, so you're kind of probably very locked in. I doubt they've released SDKs for. They probably haven't released SDKs for Neo. I'm sure at some point they will with the Epson G6070. I think that's the model number. But honestly, Epson is Fiery. Like they own Fiery. They own Digital Factory now. So it's probably going to be the best solution going forward. Again, NeoStampa is a wonderful software. It's a little on the pricey side, and it's for not for every solution, just like Digital Factory isn't for every solution. So kind of depends on your setup and what you're trying to do. I think for shops that have multiple printers, like 2, 3, 4 printers, and they're trying to get them to all match the same, I think that NeoStampa is going to be a better solution for those folks. I'm a brave man doing halftones on a live stream? Why am I brave? Oh, because you think the alignment's going to be off. It's looking pretty good. Let's see if I get my camera down here to get real close. Nah, actually, that's not going to work. I'll cut it off later and show you guys. But yeah, doing halftones is kind of my thing. I've been doing halftones for so long, I don't even think much about it anymore. So yeah, and halftones, like I said, the one thing I would have done differently is I would probably reduce my choke a little bit more so that I had a little bit more white under some of the smaller dots. But I'm still feeling out, like my brain functions in pixels, and I haven't quite calculated what that is per inch for running NeoStampa, because I haven't done a lot of NeoStampa in a production. Like I've printed hundreds, thousands of feet with Digital Factory, and I just haven't spent a ton of time with NeoStampa printing. I've spent a ton of time profiling with NeoStampa, but not printing with NeoStampa. So I don't quite have all those like little settings dialed in just yet, but we're getting there. All right, Hotronix Air Fusion. Yeah, so I'm kind of leaning toward one of the Hotronix, specifically. I think it's just a clamshell one, but there's one that you can attach to a stand that has wheels. So I wouldn't have to have like a table in here. So that's kind of the one I'm leaning toward getting, because I don't have a lot of space and I need to be able to shift things around. I think that will probably work best in this space, but we shall see. All right. If you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. I'm happy to answer those questions today. But if there aren't any questions, we'll kind of wrap up. If you guys have, if you're watching this maybe after the fact and there's a question you have, go ahead and drop it in the comments below. I will see it, and I'll maybe make a video about it. So the plan is we're still doing Monday live streams. I didn't have jury duty today. That was exciting to not have to do that. But every Monday, same time, 1 p.m. Eastern time, I'm going to be doing live streams. And so I'll be on again next week. And then still working out exactly how we're going to do our scheduled videos. But a lot of stuff I'm working on, a couple different projects. But if you guys have a question that's maybe a little bit of a deep dive and you want me to answer, let me know. I'm happy to answer those questions. And I appreciate you guys watching. Appreciate all the support, especially those of you who have been on every single week. Artistic Gifts, what is your name? Because I don't want to keep calling you Artistic Gifts, because that's your handle. But what's your name? But yeah, so thanks for those of you who have popped on almost every week, or maybe this is your first time watching. I appreciate you. We want to do what we can to help you guys understand DTF better, create better DTF graphics, make money. That's what you guys are trying to do. You're trying to do a business to make some money. And if I can help you do that better, then that's a win for me, is if I can help you do that better. So anyway, thank you all so much for watching. We're going to sign off unless somebody pops in real quick with a question, and we will see you guys next week. Bye.